Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. We are honored to have a special guest join us from India. He was meant to present yesterday. However, he is able to join us today. He has spoken at many international events, including TED, and we are absolutely honored to learn about how to make a forest in your backyard. We're going to begin with a short video.
There are absolutely no trees common between Holland and India. I wish there would have been like a few, but there are no trees which are common. It's going to be a super dense forest full of species of native trees of Holland. These forests, compared to a conventional plantation, grows 10 times faster. They are 30 times more dense and 100 times more biodiverse. I started making a forest in the backyard of my own house, and this is how it looks after 3 years. How long are these?
These are 4 years old.
Trees grow very slowly. So this is where we are going to make our first forest in Holland. You can see it's all clay. This is good soil, but because it's clay, we have to add more perforation material so that roots can penetrate into it. To make a forest, we start with soil. We mix some local biomass available around, which can help soil become more porous. We survey the native tree species of the place. Once we know our trees, we divide them in 4 different layers: shrub layer, subtree layer, tree layer, and canopy layer. We fix the ratios of each layer, and then we decide the percentage of each tree species in the mix.
Alsjeblieft. Heb je er een beetje zin in?
Nou ja, ik vind het echt een cadeautje voor de wijk. En het mooie van dit bos wat hier geplant is dat je ziet dat oud en jong zeg maar, samenwerken om dit gestalte te geven. Dus het geeft ook een stuk cohesie, zeg maar. En dat mensen elkaar leren kennen en werken aan de gemeenschap natuurlijk met een mooie uitkomst.
60% van alle kinderen die groeit op in grote steden. Ja, ze brengen 2 à 3 uur per dag door voor tv, tablet, computer. Dat is allemaal tijd die ze niet buiten komen. Daarom vinden wij het als IGN heel belangrijk dat we dit soort leuke natuurontdekkingsplekken in de stad creëren. En dat is ook de reden dat we de Tiny Forest van Shubhendu een heel leuk initiatief vinden om kinderen dicht bij hun in de buurt kennis te laten maken met natuur.
We kind of have a confidence that eventually we can take it to a level where making a forest would be as easy as doing gardening or any other soil activity. The biggest achievement would be if somebody can really learn how to make a forest and replicate it in their house, their school, their backyards, nothing like it. The biggest challenge would be to actually make it work. small sign of hope. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like in another 3-4 months, it will be as green and tall as that patch.
3 or 4 months.
Yes.
Het is net half april nu, dus het is nog koud geweest en niet al te veel zon. Dus ik merk ook dat ik sceptisch ben dat ik het weer 6 maanden was. Maar het is een mooie voorspelling van Shubhendu dat het over 3-4 maanden zo hoog is. Dus als dat uitkomt, dan ben ik echt onder de indruk.
I actually expected it to grow really good, like exactly like this, but 3 months ago when I came here, and 4 months ago when I came here in April, that time I told Dan that it's gonna catch up and it's gonna grow really well. But somewhere inside I was a little worried. So considering how much it has grown in the past 3 months, it's truly amazing. I think in an annual cycle, the annual growth rate is going to remain the same whether it is in India or Holland. But the seasonal growth rates are going to differ. Like in winters, trees don't grow on the surface here, they grow under the surface. So for first 6 months, I believe that only the roots would have grown in that loose soil and they would have formed a mesh, a very, very strong mesh. So the density of these trees, what you see on the surface, is the same what we have underneath the surface. So this is an indicator of a healthy fungal network. So if any nutrition is not available in the vicinity of this tree up to where its roots are spread, no problem, because it is connected to such a big network and it has fungi, running all throughout this network of roots. It has all the nutrition it needs. Oh wow, I feel really happy, just like the way I saw my first forest, which I made in the backyard of my house. It looked just like this after a year. So I feel like that, like the backyard forest, the first forest I made. It has brought me the confidence that this methodology can be implemented in Europe, and it has brought me more itchy hands to make more of these forests in different parts to enhance the methodology so that we can have a very robust formula of forest making here in Holland. It will mitigate pollution, it will support biodiversity, it will become home of a lot of animals, insects, birds. It also gives a very pleasant feeling in urban environment, which is so full of concrete and houses and buildings. I hope to achieve that every piece of land which appears to be like this should be converted into a dense natural forest, which ideally would exist if we let the nature take over. So why not assist the nature to take over, because we are a part of it.
And another round of welcome for Mr. Shubhendu Sharma.
evening. So, I come from Bangalore, India, and you've seen in the movie that we work with a methodology which is geographically independent. We are able to make a self-sustaining forest in a very small period of time. And I learned this methodology not very long ago when I used to work for Toyota. Uh, I'm an engineer, an industrial engineer. I used to make cars in Toyota. And that's where I met Dr. Akira Miyawaki, who is a scientist who has developed a methodology which makes trees grow really fast as becoming a 100-year-old forest, equivalent to a 100-year-old forest in just 10 years. And he came to our factory to make a forest in it. And when I saw his work, when I saw these pictures, I was so fascinated that I decided that I should learn this methodology along with Dr. Miyawaki. So the methodology is basically planting very dense native species of the place. We maintain it for a period of 2 to 3 years, and after that we step out of the forest. Dr. Miyawaki says no management is the best management. The forest keeps growing, and in 10 years it becomes equivalent to a 100-year-old natural forest. Now, what is a forest? For us, it's a place so dense with trees that you just can't walk into it. And it doesn't matter how big or small they are. So we can make a forest in just 100 square meters, which is close to parking spaces of 6 cars, and call it a forest. So I joined Miyawaki's team, and this was the first forest which we made. Eventually, I wanted to take the methodology out of our factory premises, so I decided to make a forest in the backyard of my own house. The forest worked really well, and we could realize that in spite of Miyawaki's presence on site or not, the methodology still works. So we wanted to work more with this methodology. Observing the forest for next 2 years, we could see a lot of bees started coming. It supported a lot of biodiversity. We could see the birds which never were seen in the area before because the forest became their habitat. So I started learning more of this methodology. We started surveying the native tree species of the nearby natural forest at our place. By this time, I was already out of Toyota and started to work on afforestation full time. Eventually, we started a small company. This is how we launched our company long ago, and started to also keep the methodology open. So right from the day one, how we make a forest was nobody's intellectual property, and we always kept sharing how to make a forest, whether we work with people directly as a client or not. And eventually, we started changing the urban landscape, which was like this, into lush green natural forests. So making a forest in backyard kind of became a thing. It started a trend, and we started making forest from the house to eventually to schools. And this is a very interesting case because this forest is next to a school. Sorry. This particular forest is, this one moment. Yeah, okay. I'll just look there because anyway. So we making forests became a thing, and we started converting these landscapes which were either full of a single tree species and started filling them with multiple different species. And by doing this, we are consuming the entire vertical space and filling it with greenery. It has 30 times more green surface area compared to a lawn or a garden or just a monoculture. So from schools, we moved to corporate premises, and in the front, so we started changing the landscape, corporate landscape, and started making forests in corporate premises as well. From corporate premises to organic farms and to schools. Now this school has a mosque in it, and the water, the wazoo water from the mosque was used to irrigate the forest. From schools to eventually apartment buildings and even a zoo. And as we kept on making these forests, our methodology improved in a way that what we were able to achieve in a course of 2 years at the beginning, we could achieve the same results in a very short time. So this is an 11-month-old forest in Faridabad near Delhi. This is in Chennai, just 7 months. And this is a place in Gujarat in just 5 months. 2 years ago, this is Pakistan. 2 years ago, I was invited to Pakistan by Shehzad, who is a very good friend now, sitting somewhere in the audience here. And we brought the concept of afforestation to Pakistan, and we made our first urban forest in the Clifton area in Karachi. We started with a Facebook group. A lot of people joined the project. We planted the forest in 400 square meters, more than 1,200 trees. And this is how it looks after a year. This is the forest after a year, and you can see it's already more than 8 feet in height. But we didn't stop there. We started talking about this forest to a lot more people at different avenues, and eventually it kind of became a project where we started an initiative called Urban Forest, which specializes in making Miyawaki forest in Pakistan, just like we are doing it in India. So Shehzad and Sunny, who is executive director at A Forest, executed a project together in Tehran because we can't come to each other's countries so easily. So we collaborated outside India and Pakistan, and this was a joint project done by both teams, the Indo-Pak team collaboratively. We openly share our methodology. Somebody learned the methodology by just downloading it from our website, made a forest of 7,000 trees, a journal in Paris wrote about the project. The citizens of Paris decided to make a bigger project of this, and this year the mayor of Paris has allotted a budget to the citizens initiative, and they are making a forest along the peripheric road in Paris. It has taken life of its own. We never get involved in this project. It's happening on its own. So eventually, what I feel is that now when you go back home and you see a barren piece of land like this, do remember that it can be a potential forest. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks a lot. The Miyawaki method is based on a theory called potential natural vegetation. So wherever we make a forest, we have to survey the native tree species of that place and use only those. We go to the history of place and identify the tree species which would have existed before human intervention. And for that, we go to extreme extents, even reading the literature from the place and the historic history of the place. Yeah.
Very nice. Talking outside of plants, how has this affected animal behavior in the regions that you've suddenly created these lush landscapes?
The animal behavior?
Yes, how has it affected it?
These forests, they act as a natural habitat of biodiversity of the place. So now because they have food and shelter, and because of the density, there is extremely less human intervention in these spaces. So this is a safe spot. And you can see the kind of biodiversity you have in this forest, you usually don't see anywhere, because they have those timid species of animals as well, which usually are which are very shy.
Okay. So moving over to environmental aspects, you mentioned in the video that it might affect air pollution. How significantly and how rapidly does it cause changes in air pollution?
Yeah, so these forests have 30 times more green surface area compared to any other way of plantation or having a lawn. Because if you see a lawn or a garden, it's just one single layer of greenery. But here you utilize the vertical space, and it has a lot of green surface area. So, and it also acts as a barrier. So as a shield, it acts as a noise barrier, and a suspended particulate material is blocked. So any place which has a forest wall around it, you see extremely high difference between the suspended particulate material beyond the forest, beyond the thick wall of forest.
So, with the introduction of more plants into an area, how do you mitigate the additional allergens that might come into the environment because of pollen, etc.?
Yes. The trees which are exotic cause a problem of pollen allergy, and because they are not consumed. If you have the native tree species, all the pollen has a way to go. They have a purpose of being generated. So if you have a native tree being planted, the pollen is consumed. But when you have these exotics, their pollen just keeps flying around, and until it becomes an issue, becomes a problem, we don't take a notice of it. But it's a huge issue with all the exotic non-native trees being introduced to alien geography.
And coming a little closer to home, in Pakistan and I believe in many parts of the world, we're seeing many diseases that are related to small insects such as mosquitoes. So does this affect that aspect of public health?
No, because most of these issues are caused because of the pollution, the dirt. So mosquitoes you don't see mosquitoes in fresh water, only in dirty water. So the issue is not about, having a lot of water, having a good amount of water and having fresh greenery around you. It's like whenever you have dirty water, you will have mosquitoes. So there are two other problems, two very different problems. Yeah.
So you showed us that you've taken this methodology out of a small space like your backyard, and you've expanded it to plantations. How large of a space can the Miyawaki method be applied to?
I'll tell you about the largest project happening right now. It's 300-kilometer long and 100 meters wide along the Pacific coast, which was hit by tsunami in 2011 in Japan. So that's the current Miyawaki forest project. But from a macro concept, any place which had a forest long ago is a potential area of bringing back the forest right there. So those scales can scale up to a country or even a continent.
300 kilometers.
300 kilometers. I worked on that project in May this year, last year May.
Could this method be used to make areas that are more arid, such as desert areas,
Yes.
greener?
Yes, so in Rajasthan, we have started a project in July last year. We started with 12,000 trees, 1 kilometer long strip as a pilot project. We have already reached 2 lakh trees, and the survival rate is around 98%. And in a year's time, we will reach a formula of species mix, using which we can make lush green forests even in places. It's already being set, but we have to still go through some different tests to finally come up with a robust formula of forest making in arid areas like Rajasthan. But it's already happening. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, having seen how these forests become self-sustaining in about, was it 2 years or 10 years?
2 to 3 years.
In 2 to 3 years, it seems like the idea itself has become viral, in the sense that the Parisians have taken on the idea and are doing it independently. To what extent do you see communities internationally taking the initiative to start building these Miyawaki technique forests?
So in last 1 year, we have collaborated with a company in Chile, a company based in US, in Singapore already, Netherlands. You saw this project, the Netherlands project. This year they are doing 10 such tiny forests. Last year they did 4. So it started in 2015 with one patch about which you saw the movie, but it's already been extended to different cities. So I don't know up to what extent, but the current size is almost 5 different countries, barring Australia, all the continents.
And what could we do to speed up this process? How could us as part of the international community, how could you as part of your organization help spread this idea so that we're able to better tackle the climate change issues the world is seeing?
Oh, well, I see that the only value which exists is in making a tangible forest. So get a piece of land, get the funds sorted, and make a forest. I think that's what is going to work. Yeah.
Finally, I'd like to ask a slightly more personal question. You started your career as an industrial engineer. Before you met Mr. Miyawaki, were you a gardener?
No, not at all.
So it wasn't until you met Mr. Miyawaki that you started taking interest in farming of sorts.
Yes. What I realized was I worked really hard to get into Toyota, and it was my favorite company when I was studying my engineering, and it took a lot of effort, almost a year of before I joined Toyota. It took me a lot of efforts to get into the company. Eventually what happened was that it became essential for me to get out of Toyota to pursue this new thing which I learned while working at Toyota. So I think that there would have been some really strong reason for me to get into the job first and eventually taking up Miyawaki method as a profession. The kind of value which I saw in work was that when you make a car, you use a lot of natural resources. Your steel comes from mountains, your rubber comes from trees, and you bring them together, you make a product. But when you look at this product, eventually the quality of this product, the car, is going to deteriorate with time. But if you make a forest, on day one it would be tiny. And when you go back to the same place after a year, you saw in the movie, it's already lush green. So as looking at it as a product from an engineer's point of view, this is the only product which becomes more and more beautiful with time as it ages, unlike any other machine. So that's one of the things which fascinated so much that I decided to work on it. Thank you.
So outside of the engineer's perspective, which I can connect with as well, it sounds like something about this spoke to you. When you encountered this method to make a decision to take a completely different life track, what was it about this project that spoke to your soul? Why was it possible for you to suddenly make such a different life choice?
Oh, it happened because of, so I learned the methodology, and after I made the forest in my backyard, I started speaking to different NGOs, institutions, other companies, if they would hire me or like work, are ready to work with me, because this is something which had to happen. So I spoke to many NGOs, and they told us they have budget, but it's only for the awareness. It's only for, spreading the word. Nobody wanted to do the tangible stuff, that making a tangible forest, going to the field and making a forest. So ultimately it came to a point, the frustration came to a point that I said, okay, let's forget everything and launch this company. And that's why you could see how frugal that company was.
Right.
When we launched, it was like one box full of trees and all that. In fact, those 3 boxes which were there in the picture,
Right.
I kind of stole them from Toyota. So it was only that I have to have my first client, because I had such an itch in my hands. I wanted to make this forest. I was already running out of land. Like my backyard was full. So it had to happen in a way that somebody pays me to do that, and it has to be somebody's backyard. It took us 6 months to get our first backyard and do the first project. So from previously like 6 months, second year of running the company, I just did 1 project throughout the year. It takes time for the forest to grow, and as they grow, when you can show and tell, then projects started coming. So now I don't think about what would have driven me to do that, but I couldn't go back. Once you have started, you can't go back. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a
You're
lot.
inspiring to us all, and we hope that you can help us change Pakistan and the
Thank you
world.
so much. Thanks a lot.
We are honored to have you, Mr. Shubhendu Sharma, everyone.
Thanks a lot.